chose to name the annual Super Bowl award after him, the Vince Lombardi Award. Huh? Do you know anything about his life as such? Big man?
Went to accident.
He did, exactly. He was a very active Catholic. His faith was really in his heart and his heart, no question. In fact, while studying at Fordham University in New York, where he later coached football for a while before he went professional, he gave serious thought to joining the Jesuits. He almost became a priest. Discerned that God was calling him elsewhere, but as we just heard, his faith was very central to his whole outlook on life. As he would make the rubber chicken circuit, so to speak, here in Wisconsin and speak at all kinds of get-togethers and events, he was fond of emphasizing that the three most important things in life are God, family, and the Packers. Now, for our purposes here, to make a very, very long story short that we could have a semester's course on and still not do it justice, let's presume that we agree with his priorities here. God really is at the heart of your life and mine. Family is so key and important to us. And by the Packers, let's understand that in a very broad sense to mean community. Various kinds of involvement we have in community, the ways that we reach out and connect and work with one another. We all recognize that this is a most basic value in life. I dare say, if you and I can keep this priority straight, God, family, and community, we will find self-fulfillment. All right? Let's play devil's advocate, shall we? Let's put on the agnostic or the atheist's cap just for a second. What about those who claim that it's all about you? Don't worry about the next guy or gal. Don't even worry about your adult children. They're adults. Let them be. If they fall flat on their face and get in trouble, they'll learn. Just be concerned about yourself. Don't go any further than that, huh? It's all about you. That's the way to fulfillment. You don't need me to tell you that our culture is inundated, really loaded down near the point of breaking with narcissism. Wouldn't you agree? Such a focus on the self for the self's sake. Not adding anything else, okay? My goodness. You know who would be happy about this? Did your grandchildren tell you of a philosopher that they studied in college? Maybe you did yourself when you were back there? Friedrich Nietzsche? I think he is the quintessential atheist. And in my own opinion, maybe Father Dan shares it, he's smiling. Friedrich Nietzsche is the only genuine atheist I've ever come across. Most others who are struggling in this area, no problem with that. Most others who even are adamant, there is no God, or I don't know if there is one. Their problem basically is with organized religion. Because they don't live as an atheist should, logically. Nietzsche himself insisted on that. He taught raw atheism. There is no God. There is no ultimate meaning in life. That is the big delusion. And you free yourself as an individual, the sooner, the better you get rid of that delusion. And then he went further. He criticized folks who thought they were comrades in arms, so to speak, who were fellow travelers with him, and they would still be devoted to great humanitarian causes. He told them, you're just substituting another delusion for the biggest delusion that you call God. Because there is no God, there is no ultimate meaning in life, there is nothing but chaos. Don't try to find order and meaning in any kind of altruism. It doesn't make sense. It's just all nothing. It's just an abyss. Now, in my opinion, that's logical atheism. Really. Even the great group we hear from in Madison there, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, my goodness, are they devoted to their cause, and they're growing, okay? So, hey, we're going to pull together and stick together and really see this. They're coming out of themselves. They're giving themselves to a reality that is worth their effort and their sacrifice. Doesn't make sense if there's no meaning. If you, as an individual, are an island unto yourself, then just be concerned about self-preservation. Use others if you want. If that'll help your own, cushion your own feathers, okay. We don't live that way, friends. I always enjoy discussing with would-be atheists or agnostics this very point. Generally, there are people that are very concerned about human well-being. Why? If it's all nothing, your experience and mine, even before we sign ourselves with Jesus Christ, your experience and mine tells us, no, we're in this together. Yes, I am a very special, unique person, but I'm joined with other special, unique persons. Community is not at all accidental. Community is essential to who I am as an individual. I think, friends, it isn't too difficult to wind up concluding this is the logic that reality calls us to. We don't live as though everything is meaningless and chaotic. Okay? So, let's jump ahead. We gathered here beginning in prayer, hearing the words of Jesus once again. We do believe in God. And we do believe that He is the core of our whole being, our life. It is in Him that we find meaning. Now notice, Jesus told us, not specifying the context I've just been talking about in our own day, but He told us, if you're seeking yourself, you want to hang on to your own life at all costs, don't ask me even during Lent to be generous to others. That's not how Jesus is calling us to live. So if you're going to be true to your faith, to your conviction there is a God, I believe in His Son Jesus, I want to follow Jesus as a disciple, we have to lose ourselves for the Lord and for others. It is only as when we lose ourselves in God that we will find meaning, we will find happiness, even with serious, sometimes spinal illness, and we will find peace. No question about that. Can I cite two of the great mystics in our Catholic tradition? I'm sure you have heard both of them. The first is St. Bernard of Clairvaux, and the second is St. Teresa of Avila. St. Bernard of Clairvaux is a champion in the Cistercian tradition, which is my own background, so I do consider him to be my own father in faith. He lived in the 12th century, basically the early part of the 1100s, and we are celebrating this year the 500th anniversary of the birth of St. Teresa of Avila. She was a great Carmelite, a reformer of the female branch of the Carmelites, and her daughters, her sisters, have a monastery in our archdiocese right near Pewaukee. We're better acquainted with the friars, the Carmelite friars of Holy Hill. The sisters are not far away in Pewaukee. But anyway, let's start with St. Bernard. He has a classic treatise, De Diligendo Deo in Latin, on loving God. And he tells us there are 4 stages God calls us through. Now, he doesn't force himself in any way. But there are 4 stages God calls us through. The first is a very selfish love, narcissism. God accepts us as we are with our fallen human nature when we love ourselves just for ourselves. What's in there for me? You want me to donate to some cause? I'll be interested in doing that if you can tell me how I'm going to benefit from that. Or at least, am I going to feel good helping children in need? What's in there for me? That's the earliest stage of love, if you will, a very primitive kind of love, very unrefined. God takes us where we're at. I love myself for myself. Never mind God, that's kind of vague. I love myself for myself. The hound of heaven doesn't give up. He's always in pursuit of us, no matter how young or how older we may be. Okay? In his own way, he takes us to the second phase, in his own way, in his own time. And he gives us the grace to love God, so we finally turn to God for myself, for my own advantage. And you know, friends, I think all of us, well-meaning as we usually are, all of us spend a lot of time at this second stage in St. Bernard's diagram. Lord, please hear my prayer, and I'll raise up to you the needs I have, and you and I will remain very good friends if you answer my prayer just as I voice it. Love of God, okay, there's at least a reference to God for myself. What's in there for me? Notice, there's no kind of surrender in it. The third phase, God's grace leads us along. You and I cannot produce this. God's grace leads us along. Love of God for God's sake. Here we are mature in the spiritual life, and we're really overwhelmed by God. And our very being that spontaneously loves God for who He is. No thought here of what's in there for me. Is there any kickback I'm going to get from this spiritual journey? Wow, I'm just awed by God. Not the end of His scheme, there's stage 4. Okay, love of self for self, love of God for self, love of God for God's sake. The top, the zenith in this progression in love is love of self for God's sake. Now, friends, that's where you and I are going to live out the gospel we just heard and find meaning and find fulfillment. Do your friends ever ask you why we Catholics don't believe in reincarnation? Have you ever wondered that yourself? Is reincarnation compatible with our understanding of God's revelation peeking in and through Jesus? The answer is no. And the reason is very simple. We do not accept any theology, if you will, of reincarnation because every single human being is uniquely important to God and has an everlasting place in the heart of God. You can never be duplicated. Strictly speaking, even if we move in the direction of cloning, you are you. The clone would be somebody else, even if they have your genes. You are you. And because we take the human person so seriously, nobody can be duplicated. Nobody is a pawn on somebody else's chessboard. No political tyrant has the right to oppress people for what he visions to be the common good. We've opposed that whenever we've run into it, precisely because of the dignity of the human person. God takes you uniquely for himself. To love self, then, for God's sake. In other words, the zenith of love, according to St. Bernard, is to be able to love ourselves because God loves us so much and considers us to be a key, emphasize key, player as his providence unfolds. Now again, back to Shorehaven and Oconomowoc. And if the shoe fits, please. I'm starting to wear it myself. If we're in a wheelchair, this is still true. You are a key player in the plan of God. If you're losing it, you are a key player in the plan of God. If you are young and just starting out in school, my goodness, God is beginning to cue you in on the talent